everybody. Welcome to eChannel News. We've got Margareta Petrovic, and she's a global managing partner of risk and management of cybersecurity at a consulting company. We'll talk about our predictions for cybersecurity in 2024 and also maybe what happened in 2023. Margareta, welcome. How are you?
Good. Living a dream in this new year, day number 3. How about you?
Yes, it's it seems like another year, but it's every year seems to get crazier than the next year. In 2023 with all the AI stuff that's happening, who knows what's going to happen in 2024? But let's kick it off there, Margareta. Give us a bit of your background, first of all, how you got into Tata and what you're doing right now, and I know we can talk about 2023 a little bit before we jump in.
Of course. So you already stated my very long title. I'm going to spare you from listening to it again. I joined Tata in April 2023. The reason why I joined this company is because I'm always up for a challenge. TCS made great progress in creating technical capabilities, expanding a global footprint, having a very solid technical resources. The team already had a whole army of very solid cybersecurity professionals providing technical support. And TCS decided to put in some additional investments in creating high-end consulting capabilities. That's why I'm here. Before joining TCS, I spent some time at Wipro, where I was heading integrated cybersecurity solutions globally. And before Wipro, I've spent a lot of time at Accenture doing various things related to cybersecurity.
To say that you know a thing or two about cybersecurity would be an understatement. Feel like I've died and gone to cybersecurity heaven speaking to you about cybersecurity. So, well, let's just dig into this, Margareta. I mean, for those who know Tata, of course, it's a huge global footprint, and you guys see a lot of stuff, obviously, in cyber. Looking back a little bit, what's your take on what has happened that's significant in 2023?
In 2023, yes. So first and foremost, we are in the midst of everybody trying to cut the costs, which everybody's going to complain about. But I'm going to share that I believe it's a great opportunity because you're forced to be creative, to come up with great solutions to do more with less. At the same time, technical landscape, business landscape is becoming much more complex. You have all the geopolitical fun going on around the globe that is sprinkled with different regulations, and we all have to accommodate. So there is no better opportunity for you to be creative and figure out a way to use cybersecurity to enable businesses, to enable the growth, and to enable that multinational, multicultural data exchanges than this one now. And finally, you just mentioned AI Fund started in 2023. I think that part is just getting accelerated. So we are going to see more creative solutions, not only about using AI in cybersecurity, but also how do you secure that AI? That is a big, big difference that is happening right now. So all the fun things that we initiated last year are going to open whole new doors of opportunities for us to keep on moving.
Margareta, it feels like, the old playbook, of cyber went out the window in 2023. And AI has sort of like rewritten the rules, whether we liked it or not. And of course, finally, governments worldwide woke up and said, wait a minute, we got to put guardrails on AI. We've got to, what about, cybersecurity? We have to do compliances. And then the big 800-pound gorilla in the room, insurance companies, woke up and said, wait a minute, we don't want to be paying out these claims anymore. So we've got to figure out, what that looks like moving forward. So it seems like a lot more people are at the table yelling at the top of their lungs, this is a problem. Are you getting that feeling too?
Yes, this is actually reminding me a lot about the time when cloud came along. Everybody was afraid. You had two groups, one jumping into the cloud, trying to adopt it wherever possible. And then you had all of those more cautious, more regulated environments, such as governments, that were saying that it is not secure enough, we are not ready, it is dangerous. Now, look where we are. We have cloud across the board. I think we all have fear of unknown, and all the great opportunities are coming with great responsibilities, and that's where cybersecurity comes on stage. So I don't think there is a way for us to stop this gorilla from moving. It may be slow in lifting, but this is just not going to stop. And you just also mentioned all the regulations. Regulations are bringing us structure. And in order for us to deal with the business in a constructive way, to respect one another, to make sure that we are not even negligently exposing data, putting customers, citizens, or business partners at risk, it is necessary to have frameworks. Now, whether those frameworks are being mandated by governments or by some organizations, or companies just decide to have their own frameworks, doesn't really matter. It's important for us to move towards a state when we know what the good looks like, and we are all striving to get to that better stage. And over the time, just as every other state, every other framework or regulation that we had, we're going to see changes. They're going to become more mature. We are going to get more granular and more explicit requirements, which are meant for us to actually have better cybersecurity. You have so many people, and many new resources are entering the field. How are they going to know what is good? It's very hard to keep up with the trends, with the changes. So having the structured recipe is actually super valuable, in my opinion.
I think you're 100% right. If there was more than 100%, we could quote. The reality is that this is not just for fun. Compliance and regulations are not just, oh, let's have
Speak for yourself.
Exactly.
There is fun.
But the reality is that you need to have these structures, guardrails, right? Because there's so many, moving parts that's happening right now. And as we accelerate down this new era of AI, within companies, outside of companies, people working from home, their kids are now connected to their networks. The footprint has just gone literally off the charts. And now with AI, what people are doing with AI could actually impact things that they may not even know.
Exactly.
That's going to impact them. So let's just double click on a few of these things, right? So the big one, of course, is AI. What's your take on AI 2024 and how that's going to, change the game for cybersecurity?
So in terms of changing the game for cybersecurity, we're definitely going to see more reference architectures, more service offerings from consulting standpoint and managed security services when it comes to securing AI itself. So not all the companies are just going to go and use Bing AI. There are organizations that are going to be interested in creating their own language models, having their own data pool. If you're a big research company, you have a lot of intellectual property, you're not going to rely on your two most experienced guys to tell you what are their conclusions based on the experience. You want to have a whole army of researchers looking into the data set that is your intellectual property that you have to protect and allow more accelerated development of the business, of the research, new products, new services, increasing your customer satisfaction. So in that sense, we are going to see more work for cybersecurity to have not only cookie cutter, but frameworks that are customized for specific client problems, specific organizational problems. That's number one. Number two, cybersecurity has a lot of operational work. So you're relying on people that are reviewing some results of security monitoring tools, security vulnerability tools, and we are prone to human errors. You may be tired, you may miss something, you may be biased based on your previous experience. So if you're putting in AI to accelerate and structure your analysis and help you with a quick decision making so that you're using human intelligence only where it's necessary, that is a big win. One other area, other than only working with security monitoring and operational support, is security policies, security processes. All of those can be done much quicker with AI. So whenever you need to have some kind of writing, so you're again focusing on using human intelligence only where it is absolutely necessary. And that is going to help us bridging the gap with skills. We cannot produce enough of seasoned, experienced cybersecurity professionals to keep up with the pace with the market growth, because your cybersecurity is growing around 20-something% annually. There is absolutely no way to train that many people to allow them to have enough of years of experience and exposure to different environments. So AI is an opportunity to offload all of those repetitive tasks that are prone to human error and release bandwidth for people to focus where it's absolutely necessary and come with even better ideas, greater ideas.
And on the other hand as well, right, it's not just, you know, the good side of the world using AI. You got the bad actors that is, I would argue, studying AI much more, you know, critically, right, and help them to become a 10x bad actor, right? Since AI empowers people to do more with less, right? You can almost see, you know, bad actors saying, well, wait a minute. Wow, this is really cool because I can now do much more damage with much less effort. What do you see on the dark side?
Yes, they're absolutely doing the same thing, and we are in a vicious cycle and in a race between bad actors and us. Whatever is available to them can potentially accelerate their ability to penetrate into different environments, and we just have to keep on making that exposure very extensive and keeping our tools sharpened in terms of us being aware and us being in a position to leverage AI much better and in much more progressive way. That's the only way you can do, because you will never ever eliminate bad actors. You even have long time ago, we moved from kids that are trying to do something cool or to get into environment just to demonstrate they can do it. This is becoming organized crime. It can even be sponsored by different nations or states or businesses trying to work against each other. So it is serious, and hence the defense methods have to be serious, even more so. Yeah. And to your earlier point about the risk quantification, the whole market is moving more towards the way to quantify what is the value of what you're trying to protect and how much you're willing to invest in cybersecurity, building different layers of cybersecurity, segregating your crown jewels. So we're going to see more and more of those. I see in different client engagements that there is still an opportunity to do some basic cybersecurity hygiene right. So I think this whole new series of events and advancements is going to make us actually go back to the basics, finish them in parallel with investing into newer, higher end technologies. Yeah, this is very fast change.
Yeah, I would say, Margareta, that those folks that hasn't done the basics yet, you almost, you know, you look at them and you go, what? You know, it just doesn't make any sense. To me, it's like, well, let's go to bed every night and sleep with my doors and windows wide open, and let's just not accept that there's a problem, right? I get it. But a lot of people always humans believe that that's not going to happen to me. I am too this or too small or too weird or too different type of company. So it doesn't impact me, right? And then, of course, you know, they get impacted and then their whole mindset goes, oh my goodness, if it could happen to me, it could happen to anyone. It just seems like getting them to understand that bit is quite extraordinary. So humans are humans, right? And it just feels as well that because AI is now, in the game, right? And it wasn't the
Mm-hmm.
game before, so this is nothing really new, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
that now it's accelerated the game to the point where if you are not bringing your A game every day and you don't
Mm-hmm.
have the right people and tools and processes and policies in place to sort of protect, your little world, right? Um, it's getting you becomes a walk in the park, right? With AI because you know a regular bad actor can now do 1,000 things more than they
Mm-hmm.
were before. When you do zoom out a little bit, right? Would you say that are we neck and neck with the bad actors, or they're ahead, or we are ahead? Like, where do you see this game played out? Who's ahead of the game right now?
Well, I think that right now we are neck to neck, and we still cannot get relaxed. They are investing, and we have to invest even more. And I'm not thinking investments only in terms of financially, in terms of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to do more with less. You have to have control over your environment. You just mentioned so many organizations grew so big over the time, and they don't even know what they have. You have to protect yourself from your business partners, not because they mean bad, but maybe they did not have their ducks in a row right now. So that brings up another trend that I believe is going to happen, and that is not going through the compliance and your cybersecurity posture and trying to figure out what are your security loopholes by having a guy with a clipboard that is asking for a print screen with a password policy and asking for the most recent log files. I think we're going to see more and more investments into the platforms that are just going to plug into your environment and tell you this is what you have, this is where you are, this is where you should be, and this is exactly what you need to do. It is the same thing as having your cars. Historically, you would go to mechanic, to electrician, and ask for a diagnostic. In matters of days, you will probably get some discovery based on their experience and personal opinion. Now, you go to your dealership, they plug you into a computer and tell you the full diagnostic. That is what we need. We need to know what is the problem right now, and we have to be able to solve it. The more gap in time you leave, the bigger the window is for your attackers. So a couple of things happening in parallel. Investments, addressing the loopholes that were already there, and then also investing into understanding where you are right now at a point in time and being able to act quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like you're trying to figure out what you don't know. Like you need to know what
Mm-hmm.
you don't know, and then you got to know what is the unknown that you'll never know until it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to catch up with what other people know because they've experienced something that they know, but you don't know that they know, right? It's almost like a
Exactly.
kind of a game, right? And organizations like yourselves, the cool thing that I see is that you guys see a lot of things happening across a very wide range of
Mm-hmm.
situations. So you're able to identify things almost at the beginning of the
Mm-hmm.
problem so that you can go back and say, hey, folks, here's a problem that is now hitting this area that is, going to hit you at some point. So you can almost sort of ring the fire alarm, if you will, the alarm,
Mm-hmm.
and plug up those problems. So if you're sort of an island today doing everything by yourself, it's not too smart because no matter how good you are, it's impossible to know all the various combinations. So I think the days of just thinking that you've got this
Exactly. It's
is sort of over.
impossible to know all the combinations. I would not be surprised to see many of the professions um, fading away a little bit. I'm even thinking about lawyers. I'm thinking about accountants. I'm thinking about the doctors because you're, again, heavily relying on the experience. If you're thinking about TCS, we have such a great collective experience, so many clients, so many years of experience, different industries, different geographies. If you sprinkle AI on the top of everything that we have, you get a win-win combination. That's exactly where we're investing. So that our clients are getting not only boots on the ground, they are actually getting collective knowledge from everything that we do. And that is the big value, the big value proposition that we are working on.
Yeah, it's priceless. I mean, as a matter of fact, I would even say that I have no clue how anyone could do it without that depth of knowledge, because this is like forever. You know, there's a little movie called Groundhog Day, where everything's the same thing. You get up in the morning, and I think cybersecurity experts just getting up every morning and they look at all the red flags and all the various false positives that they've got to go through, and that burns them out quite a large degree, because you just never know which one of those things are going to be the thing that's going to hurt you today. Otherwise, it just looks the same, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Now, we talked a bit about cloud as well, right? And even cloud's getting a lot of pushback, right? Yeah, we're all using cloud to do apps everywhere and blah, blah, blah. But now sovereignty is playing a big part. Countries are saying, wait a minute, I don't want to have my data floating around everywhere, right? And then you've got the privacy laws that is starting to become very, it's got some teeth, it's got some bite,
Yes.
If I want to be forgotten, you better forget me. We have laws coming out that's even more stringent. It's, if you collect some information for someone, you've got to specifically identify when, what, and when you're going to delete that information, because you just can't collect information forever, because of course, that's putting everybody in a vulnerable position. What's your take on cloud sovereignty and privacy in general?
Well, first and foremost, I'm very big on privacy. I do not want information about me to be shared unless I'm giving you permission and unless I know what you're going to do about it. So it is just a natural state. Do you really want everybody to know about your private problems and private victories? Like if you wanted to do so, you would probably announce it on the radio or post it somewhere. So that is your property. Whichever, like pick your network. So anyway, that is something that belongs to you. Maybe it's not tangible physically, but that is your property. And you don't want anyone to do with your property what they don't have a permission from you to do with it. So that's number one. So I absolutely understand and absolutely advocate for all the privacy regulations that are forcing organizations to respect us. Now, we do see increased number of regulations coming across the world. We all know about GDPR. We all know about California. China has their own set of rules. Australia is coming up with a new set of rules. And that's absolutely expected. Every nation wants to know what is going outside of the nation, what is going on with their citizens. And that is triggering a need for your sovereign cloud. Because if cloud is going to keep your information somewhere, you have to be aware of it. You have to have right policies, right controls. And I see that sovereign cloud is going to grow more into popularity. We initially focused on the cost efficiency, cost predictability. Then we shifted towards securing those clouds and added a lot of bells and whistles, got clouds that are secure and compliant out of the box. Now it is time to think about privacy. So after doing all the globalization and putting one flat layer, we are maturing and we are thinking about those like localized clouds that are going to address privacy concerns. So absolutely expected. And I think it's going to get even more granular as different countries and different regions are coming up with their own regulations. And that is actually a good additional point because we are forced to know what do we have. We are forced to know where is the data flowing, to understand what are our networks like, what are applications like, whom do we exchange the data with, and all of these privacy regulations plus sovereign cloud are going to help us have better security posture.
And it's happening faster than we actually know right now, because I'm going to ask you an interesting question that some people think that wait a minute, if the policies are happening and regulations are happening in Australia or UK or Canada or wherever, that really doesn't
Mm-hmm.
impact me because I'm in the US or I'm in France or wherever I am, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't do business in those countries, so I really don't care, right? What do you say to those people?
Well, maybe you want to grow.
Well, they should care
You.
because once you're on the World Wide Web, that thing,
Mm-hmm.
and you
It's
theoretically
everywhere.
can do business in any country, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, there is impact, right? Whether
Yes,
you are
definitely.
playing in that space, same thing for states. If you're in New York and you don't really care what's happening in California, well, good luck, because it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
impact you. So I think compliance, people are starting now to sort of understand the complexities, but
Mm-hmm.
also, why it's important, right? And that it does impact everybody in the game. Uh, so, um, so, so your take and your message, if you will, right, to companies about issues like compliance and regulations and so on. What's your message to them about what they must be doing today?
So the first and foremost is taking a positive attitude. Everybody's rolling their eyes and thinking about how this is going to impact my budget, how I'm going to meet these requirements. But while it is a challenge, it is a great opportunity. If you're addressing your compliance or regulatory requirements, you're actually making your business more secure. You're decreasing the risk of reputational damage, loss of business, loss of your customer or citizen trust. That is important. So, yes, it may not be the most interesting part to go through all the elements of your environment, understand what is good, what is not. It's very unpleasant to face the reality that you're not as good as you thought you are, but think of that as just face the reality that is there to help you become better. And this will become worse or better, depending which approach you're taking. So we just opened Pandora's box. There are going to be more regulations. Technologies are going to become more complex. Businesses are getting more intermingled. So there is no way to come back. We may eventually come up with some unified framework across the world, maybe 5 centuries from now. But for now, we have to live with this segregated set of requirements, which are at the bottom line very similar. They all have the same goals in mind. There are some differences to address specific industry requirements or specific geographies, but the core messaging and the core goals of every single security or privacy framework is absolutely the same.
It's getting to the point when it's just this is the new reality. So get with the program. That's just the way it is right now. I want to ask a few questions as we wrap up here. CISOs, they're getting a lot of pressure. Before it used to be, you're a CISO, your job is to not spend money. Yet when you do get breached, oh my goodness, you should have spent the money type thing. Um, and so it seems like there's never money to do something to protect the company. But then when something happens and the company is breached, well, then there's lots of money available to, fix the problem and, get back on track, right? Putting yourself in the shoe of a CISO today, what's life like as a CISO, and what should CISOs be doing?
So we all know that historically CISOs came from technical roles or in some instances from legal roles because new laws came out and the companies just grabbed the first person that fit as the best fit with the changes. Now CISO role is drastically changing in terms of the visibility, especially if you're thinking about the new regulations about board requirements to demonstrate that they have good representation in cybersecurity, that they understand what they're trying to protect, they understand what is material in terms of security incident, how to report it. That's really told to public companies. So the role of CISO is moving from technical to business with translation into technical. So it's more pressure. You have to be better rounded individual that understands what are the corporate business goals and objectives and march towards them. And at the same time, you still always have to fight for the budget. But if you're thinking about fighting for the budget, it is about quantifying the investment that you are requesting to protect corporate goods. That's why we see more and more visibility and popularity related to risk quantification. Because it has to be all the decisions about investments, protecting, not protecting, protecting more or less, isolating, that there are various approaches, have to be based on some logic. That logic has to take into consideration what is the value that I'm trying to keep, preserve, grow. And that's the direction that we are going into. I think the whole risk quantification is going to help with better understanding between boards, CXOs above CISO that understand money, revenue, loss, cost, and cybersecurity capabilities on the ground.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think CISOs are moving it more into a C-suite position in a way, because I don't know how businesses can actually survive without a cybersecurity posture. It impacts not just what happens today, but the future of the business with the social impact of breaches and so on. It's arguably one of the most, the Achilles heel, right? Most businesses, I think most companies understand about digitizing their business and how do you reach the customers and all the different 28 steps of, the buyer's journey. And they're kind of getting it all. They're seeing where it is. Digital marketing is now, normal type things. And the challenge is that how do you move that ship forward, right, without making sure it sinks, right? And that one thing that could sink a ship, not saying with the Titanic or anything like that, but the new Titanic, the new iceberg is cyber attack in many ways, right? Now it might be a little one, but whatever it is, it's dangerous, right? And I think we're challenged with trying to quantify how bad it is, So we've got to look at history to see what's going on. And I think we're starting to see some things, like, for example, some companies, cybersecurity companies, their CISOs and their management are getting some serious pushback from government, including, the courts and the criminal justice and so on, because it's becoming that crazy, right? It's like you bet if you say you're going to do something, we expect that to be done. Government today in the US, they're making sure there's so many policies and supply chain management, because you're only as strong as the weakest link. So it's starting to become no longer a tech gig. We'll have Jane and Frank, fix that thing. It's becoming part of business policy, isn't it?
Yeah. So think about new regulation related to CMMC. This is applicable to all the government contracts like DoD. So companies have to demonstrate that they have a risk-based framework for cybersecurity. We're not talking about technology. We're talking about the business risks. How do you translate them into your policies? How do you select your controls based on risk? And then how do you understand what is your landscape like? As I mentioned, many organizations don't really understand what their network looks like now, where is the data flowing, who they're exchanging it with, and then what is the impact. So definitely a shift for public companies, definitely shifts from different geographies, top down, and we have now government putting pressure where they can, and that is to their contractors. There is no way back. And everything is coming back to the risk, to the business, to how much it is worth, how much I'm trying to protect. And hence comes all the acceleration in delivery, all the efficiencies, automation. That is all aftermath of these requirements that are forefronting the changes.
And it's not just public companies and large companies, because there's 300,000 companies that supply the U.S. government today, right? And
you can be making like little screws.
Yes.
You're in scope.
Exactly. So it doesn't matter how big or small you are, you're part of the food chain. So you gotta step it up, because I think we're all realizing that we're we're only as strong as the weakest link. And and I think the bad actors knew this from day one. And they sort of laugh because they see all the, people putting like 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 different layers of technology that's not integrated, that requires humans to manage each. And they understand that, Jane just left, and that layer is no longer being protected or patched or whatever. So they go after that. And, it's sort of like this. We've made it very, very complex. And I think now it's well integration, well managed security postures, more integration, less of, layers, becomes more secure, smarter layers, that type of thing.
I absolutely agree with you. So we do know that there are many companies that bought false sense of security by buying a lot of technologies. You don't even know how they are configured. You don't know what they are covering, but you feel good. I spend so much money on these security tools that are supposed to do following, but that is a recipe for a disaster. So I also believe we are going to see a lot of consolidations in terms of the architecture, technologies, simplifications. We already have quite a bit of clients requesting that streamlining of their ecosystem and just getting into simplicity. You cannot protect something that is so complex that you don't even know what you have. Again, you can't protect what you don't know, and you have to know your environment.
Without a doubt. We're coming to the end here, but I'll ask you one more question. What keeps you awake at night, Margareta, when you think about what your job is and responsibility and cyber resilience and so on? Is there one thing that keeps you awake at night?
Just thinking how to do more with less. That is like a constant recurring theme. And it's not worrisome. It's about finding opportunities.
Oh, there you go. Let's we'll end it there because I think you and I, we can continue carry on this conversation. Just AI alone, we could spend hours just talking about it. But
I was trying to sustain with every single sentence so we don't end up having 12 hours long conversation.
I was doing the same thing on my end. I think at the end of the day, right, in the world we're living in, right, everybody has gone to this digital first world, right? You can't have digital anything without cybersecurity. And AI is coming along and sort of like, changing the game for everybody. And we haven't even talked about things like deep fakes and political influences and all the other things that may even have more impact on our daily lives than what we just talked about.
Then we know. Exactly.
But security is sort of this new world, problem. And it's expanding. And just when we thought we had a little bit of control over it, right, it just went a little bit further, hyper jumped in a way. So it's a moving target, and companies need to stay ahead of this curve. And it's one of those curves that you do want to stay ahead of. You can always say, oh, we can always go with our digital first experience with our customers. We can, wait and see. You could have that old school attitude. But I'm not so sure.
There's no time for that.
Yes.
There is no time for that. It's a fast-paced moving environment, and that's not going to change. It's just going to get faster and faster.
There you go. Margareta, I'll leave you with the last word. What do you want the community out there to know about whatever you want them to know about? And what's the best way for them to reach the company and learn more?
Oh, well, I don't want to advertise TCS more than it's already known. We are a leading company. We are leading in managed security services. We're heavily investing in consulting because you need to have both. And the best way to reach out to us is through our website. So there are contacts for each and every service offering that we have, and you can reach to the right person.
There you go. We'll leave it there, Margareta. It's been a pleasure as always to kind of learn more about cybersecurity. And I just feel we're this community trying to solve a big problem. And it's a collective intelligence, right, of everyone who may have the chance of pushing back on this thing. And for those who don't believe that cybersecurity is, one of the biggest threats facing the world today, our economy, depends on a smooth running world. and cybersecurity is the disruptor, right? So learn, get ahead of the curve, and keep us posted as you see things happening. Thanks.
Definitely.